Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Today's show, I'm going to dive into some defensive battles in 2020. If you haven't already, go check out the offensive battles video. It's on the channel below, so just another reason to subscribe. So first, I'm going to start off here with the defensive line, and the position that I really want to focus on here is left defensive end. The battle between Clelin Ferrell and Carl Nassib. Now, both of these players, I think, are going to be able to help out our defense a ton. And honestly, I think both you're going to see very, very early on kind of get a little bit of a rotation. So, let me know who's going to win the left defensive end battle. If you think it's going to be Clelin Ferrell, I want you to type CF. If you think it's going to be Carl Nassib, I want you to type CN. Now, I'm going to go through a lot of battles, okay? And I want you the entire show to let me know who you think is going to win. I want you guys to be arguing in the comments because this is a show about the nation. So remember, the Raiders go out. You bring in Carl Nassib. The contract is important here. 3 years, $25 million, $17 million is guaranteed. The reason why I think Carl Nassib is going to be battling for a starting position is because of his versatility. When you look at what the Raiders did this entire offseason, versatility is a big thing. Now, he played in a 3-4 defense last year with the Buccaneers. That's why he played a little bit of linebacker, right? That's just kind of how the position worked. Think of him as a little bit like a Bruce Irvin, right? Then you go out and get Carl Nassib, who I think is going to play defensive end for us. But one of the reasons why the Raiders really loved him, not just because of what he did on the football field, but remember, he was a captain for this team. And I think Jon Gruden, Mike Mayock, they wanted players with high character. They wanted players with versatility, and they wanted players with some production. That's why I think you bring in Carl Nassib. But I did say that Clelin Ferrell was going to be one of my breakout players, and I do truly believe that. I think when healthy last season, he did start to show glimpses of why the Raiders took him number 4 overall. Now, if he wants to be able to keep that starting spot, he needs to start showing up. And I think he does have a lot of talent, and I think when you have Max Crosby, when you have other additions that we've made to this defense, that is going to take some pressure off him. But let's not get it twisted. When you draft somebody number 4 overall, you do want better numbers than what he was able to produce in 2019. Considering the fact that 2.5 of those sacks came in one game, there was a lot of games where Clee, I love you, but you didn't really show up. However, I think in year 2, he's been working really hard, and I know he has. I've been talking to Max about it, and I think that Clelin is going to be able to really show up this year. That's why I am going to put him as my winner. The other reason why I'm going to put Carl as the loser, and I don't really know if there's a loser here in this situation, but with the big C, with everything that's kind of impacting this offseason, the fact that Clelin knows his defense and the fact that Carl really, I don't think, has been able to work with coaches and other players yet is why I am going to make him the loser. So I do have a special announcement. I'm going to be doing an extra show on Friday, June 5th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So what I want every single person to do, okay, every person, is to hit that subscribe button, get out your calendar, tell Alexa, hey, remind me to watch the Raiders Report on Friday, June 5th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I can't tell you why it's going to be one of the coolest shows I've ever done, but I can promise you, if you're a diehard Raider fan, I promise this is going to be one that you do not want to miss. So turn on your notifications, set a reminder, and spread the word that every single person that loves the Raiders needs to watch this show. Let's go to linebacker, where we got Corey Littleton, Kukowski, Morrow. The position that I really, really want to hit here is the strong linebacking position. And I've talked about it a few times already on our news and rumor shows that there's going to be a battle. Now, unlike all the other battles, I think this one's between 3 players, where it is Morrow, Marquel, and Tanner Muse. So, who's going to start at strong side linebacker? Do you think it's going to be Marquel type ML? If you think it's going to be Nicholas Morrow type NM? If you think it's going to be Tanner Muse, the rookie out of Clemson, I want you to type TM. So while I'm going through all these players, stay active in the comments. Let me know who you're going to go with. And also, be an overachiever. Tell me why. So let's first talk with the players that were on the team last year. You had Morrow, you had Marquel. Morrow really just kind of had to step up because there were so many injuries because of the suspension with Vontaze Burfict. He had to step up and play. And I think now that there's no more Tahir Whitehead, you could see the Raiders, with the whole situation going on in the world right now, rely on a player that they're familiar with. But let's also not forget about Marquel, who got banged up last season, but in 2018 did have over 60 tackles. But if you want to go with upside, if you're looking to go with versatility, I think there's a reason why the Raiders took Tanner Muse in the 3rd round, a player that a lot of people have projected honestly go in the 4th, some even in the 5th round. If you want to be able to add a player who's going to be able to help cover receivers, going to be able to help cover tight ends, and even running backs under the middle, Tanner's going to put on some muscle. He's going to put on some weight. And I think if you want a player who's got that upside, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a lot of fun. So I saw this quote from Vincent Bonsignor. Don't rule out rookie Tanner Muse working his way into the picture, especially if he can prove he can provide adequate pass coverage. If so, there are times when he and Littleton can swap positions, with Littleton sliding over to the strong side and Muse moving to the weak side to give the Raiders a highly athletic group. I like the way that this was kind of rounded out here, highly athletic group, because I think this defense, I know I show depth charts a lot. However, there is a part of me that's like wondering whether or not this team is going to be able to add a lot of these defensive players in and where they're going to put them, because you're going to see a lot of different looks. You're going to see a lot of different things happening. So you guys know that I'm a big fan of Tanner Muse. He's a player that I like a lot. Now, I am going to hit the head here again on Nicholas Morrow and Marquel because both of these players are very, I don't want to say not very talented. They're good players. However, you're not really going to find a lot of upside there. So when you really look at some of these other guys like a Nicholas Morrow, like a Marquel, like a Tanner Muse, the reason why I am going to put my money personally on Marquel or Nicholas Morrow to make the start, it's just because they're a little bit more familiar. So let me know who you guys think is going to start at strong side linebacker. If you guys need a new t-shirt, I got you covered. Go to chatsports.com/RaidersWorld. So for only $24.99, you can get this bad boy here. Now, this is probably the most popular t-shirt that I've ever shown on the show, and they are selling rather quickly. Now, I don't know how many more days we're going to be able to show it because of how quick they've been selling. So this could be your last opportunity. It's in the comments. It's in the description as well. If you need a new Raiders t-shirt, Raiders Against the World. And personally, I don't think there's a better shirt with a slogan that explains how Raider fans feel than this one right here. Let's now get into the defensive DBs. The position that I want to hit here is Prince Amukamara and Damon Arnette, the cornerback 2 battle, okay? Because obviously we drafted Damon Arnette in round 1. There's a lot of confidence around him. But also, you went out and signed Prince Amukamara. Plus, you tried to sign Eli Apple, which I think is also a very important indicator that you were looking for at least some sort of, I don't know if Eli's much of a veteran, but you were looking for more of a player that you could get on the free agent market. So I think Trayvon Mullen is the no doubt cornerback 1, which means the battle is between Arnette and Prince Amukamara for cornerback 2. So let me know who's going to win this battle, because I think out of all the ones that we talk about on today's show, this is going to be one of those battles that is going to come down to the very, very end. I love Prince. I like what Arnette's going to be able to do. So let me know. Type DA for Damon Arnette or type PA for Prince Amukamara. So when you look at the last 4 years with Prince, 2018 by far was his best year. And I know a lot of times I say good things about PFF and I say some bad things. Prince Amukamara in 2018 was one of the best cornerbacks in the entire NFL. And I think when you listen to a lot of the coaches, they speak very, very highly about his football intelligence. The reason why I like that Prince and Damon are going to be together, because I think they're actually very, very similar in the way that they're going to be able to play. Because John has compared Damon Arnette to Aqib Talib. Very, very high praise. But he's compared him to that because of his toughness and his ability to just kind of play press cover. That's what Jon Gruden wants to be able to do with this defense. He wants to go back to being physical. And if Arnette, who sure at times did get shadowed by Shaun Wade and get shadowed by Jeff Okudah, if you want to talk about production, he did actually have better numbers. Now, I could argue that it was because he was targeted more, but Damon Arnette is physical. But in terms of who's going to win that cornerback 2 battle, I am going to still put my money on Prince Amukamara just because he is that vet. The Raiders have been looking for that vet. And the fact that I just think that he has more experience, and the fact that the Big C has impacted, I think, a lot of these rookies and their ability to get into training camp, obviously, to work with coaches, to work with their teammates. So Prince, he's going to be the winner here at cornerback 2. Now, if you want to shout out on today's show, hit me up on IG. It's at Mitchell Renz 365. I'm doing shout outs all week. And I just want to show you all that I do go to my DMs, I do respond, and I'm just trying to get as much word out as possible about the Raiders Report. So give me a follow, and if I miss any of your questions, hit me up. It's at Mitchell Renz 365. let's continue here at the on defense, where we are going to talk about Lamarcus, Joyner, and Amik Robertson. So I think Lamarcus is a good player, and I think Amik Robertson is obviously one of those players where you talk about high upside in the draft, and we got an absolute steal with Max. And I know a lot of people are starting to point their finger at Amik in terms of being that steal. However, I do think that Amik does have a tough battle against him because of how much money Lamarcus has kind of been paid. So what Amik's been able to do, you got 2019, 2018, 2017. You want to look at a player who gets it done. Amik is a player that gets it done. I mean, 14 interceptions in his college career. That's really impressive, right? So 16 pass breakups, 12 pass breakups. He's a fiery player that I know Jon's going to absolutely love, that I know is going to play well in the slot. And I think there's a reason why the Raiders drafted Amik is because they want to be able to give some competition to Lamarcus Joyner, who, let's face it, did not play well whatsoever last year. And when you look at a guy who came in for 4 years, giving him over $40 million, you want top production. And what we got in 2019 wasn't top production. I mean, he gave up 69.4% completion percentage, 50 catches, 541 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That's not getting it done. I want the Lamarcus Joyner that I saw in 2018 of the Rams. Now, I love what the Rams had on defense, and that defense was great. But we're paying you to put up these type of numbers where you're giving up only 50% of the completions, 19 catches, not giving up a lot of yards. We can all agree that's the Lamarcus Joyner that we paid for. So who's going to win the slot cornerback battle? I'm going to go with Joyner. And as much as I love Amik, as much as I think he's going to be able to add a lot of versatility to this defense, I am going to put my money on Joyner. I'm going to hope that he can show up this year. But let's face it, if he doesn't, he's going to have to go. And I see some people saying LJ needs to go back to safety. The Raiders are going to play a lot of different looks. But Joyner's going to at least get that first start at the slot. Now let's go to the cornerback 4, where we have Isaiah Johnson and Nevin Lawson. And if you think Isaiah Johnson's going to win this battle, I want you to type IJ. It's kind of weird looking on screen. Or if you think Nevin Lawson's going to win it, I want you to type NL. I think Isaiah Johnson is a fun player who did come out of Houston, and one of the reasons why the Raiders drafted him is because of the high upside. When you look at his size, when you look at what he's able to do at the combine, when you look what he was able to do on film at Houston, it's impressive. And when the Raiders drafted him, he was one of those players where they were like, he could end up being the steal of the draft. Not Max, it was Isaiah Johnson because of his athletic ability. For a player at 6'2", 210 pounds to be able to move the way that he has, I mean, I went back and I looked at his metrics at the 2019 Combine. It's impressive, right? I mean, anytime you can find a player this big running a 4.40 40-yard dash that has a vertical at 36.5 plus his long arms, but the one that really impressed me was a 6.8 cone drill. Like, for a cornerback, I think the 3 cone drill is actually more telling, to be honest, than the 40-yard dash. And the fact you mix all those in with his athletic ability plus his ball skills, I have high hopes for Isaiah Johnson. But he did battle injuries, and that kind of opened the door last season for newly acquired Nevin Lawson, who is, reminder, going to be suspended for the first game of the season because he swung his helmet at a Denver Broncos player. The reason why I am going to put my money on Nevin Lawson winning this battle is because he's a veteran and because he's going to be able to step in, and I think we know exactly what we're getting. Now, if the Big C has never happened, if the world was normal and Isaiah got an entire offseason to work with the coaches, I would actually probably put Isaiah Johnson as the winner. However, I have not seen it. I want to believe in it. I know what Nevin Lawson's going to bring, so for that reason, he's going to be our cornerback 4. Now, if you guys want to go to football games, if you want to rep your team, if you were trying to stay safe, all I'm saying is this. I don't like wearing them either, but if this is what I got to do to go to games, I'm going to do it. So for only $24.99, you can go get this Raiders face shield. You can get all 3 of them at chatsports.com/Raiders face shield. It's in the comments. It's in the description. But if you order them, they've been selling so quick that you're going to have to wait until July. My fear is you wait, and then you can't even get them at all. So again, this could be your last chance. Chatsports.com/Raiders face shield. Let's kind of wrap up the defensive battle position with safety. And this was actually one of the hardest ones for me because I loved Erik Harris, and I think Jeff Heath actually is a very, very underrated signing. So who's the better safety? Who's going to end up winning? I would say like the safety 3 job If you think it's going to be Erik Harris, type EH. If you think it's going to be Jeff Heath, I want you to type JH. So let's dive into their 2019 stats here, okay? Let's look at just games started. So Heath only started 13 games last year because he was only healthy in 13, so he did start in all the games that he was able to play. He had less tackles. He had less pass breakups. Erik Harris absolutely loved his touchdowns. He was basically every time he touched the football, he turned it into a touchdown. But I also want to look at the coverage stats here, okay? Because I think we have Demarius Randall. You have Jonathan Abram. And I think both of those players are no doubt our top two. But then it's like, what can we get out of the safety position after that? And I think Erik giving up 14.5 yards per catch, that scares me a little bit because the way the Raiders were burnt last year was on the deep ball. And then you have Jeff Heath, who actually his last 4 years, he's been pretty consistent. Like, you want to talk about one of the most underrated, I think, leaders or just football players? I think Jeff Heath is actually a very good football player who's going to add a lot to our special teams. And when this move was made, I think it was mainly for special teams. However, this is another case for me where I am going to take the player that the Raiders have seen that knows our system a little bit better. That's why I'm going to make Erik Harris the winner here. But I'm actually going to make Erik Harris the winner here at safety because I think you're going to see Jeff Heath play a more important role in special teams. So realistically, I don't really know if there's a real loser in this case. You're going to see both players kind of swap in and out. But Jeff Heath is a player that I think is going to have a more impactful, more impact on this team on special teams. Raider Nation, what's going on? Is this the #1 Raiders channel on YouTube? For Chucky Heads, believe it, baby. And if you haven't already, subscribe right here. I'm giving you Chucky Heads, news, rumors, Raider Nation rumors. And look at this, I'm making your life easier. Check out my next video. Thanks for watching, and go Raiders.